Hi, folks, and welcome to your very own Tech and More. I hope you guys are doing awesome. So, the video today, the topic for this video is very interesting because this is inspired by one of the problem or challenge that I faced while working on an assignment. So, the statement, of course, I cannot show you the exact org or the exact data which I faced on one of my project, but I did replicate this particular problem statement on my own org, right? So, let me give you a gist about what the problem is or what the problem statement is for which this video has been created. So there's this org, that's my dev org, and you have an accounts object. You click on it, go to a record, and there's the field which is industry. And then if I click on the pencil icon, I can see there are numerous picklist values here. See, right? Now, the problem statement is that as a developer or as a quality analyst or as a business analyst, this problem can occur to any role. You encounter that there is a situation if you're a developer before deploying and moving it to QA, or specifically as a QA or as a business analyst, you want to make sure that the correct pick list values are configured or not. That is, you will have a Jira user story or you will have a user story for that matter. That user story will have the expected pick list values, as in this one, right? It will say that yes, these are the expected pick list values. And now you have to go and verify whether the configured picklist values are same as expected or not. A simple case of sanity testing or detailed testing for that matter, depending upon if you're a developer or a BA or a QA. Now, of course, uh, you might say as a developer that I will go into setup or I will access the dev console and see these values. Fair enough, that's true. But what if you do not have access to dev console as a QA or as a BA? That's what my intent is. This video is helpful for dev, QA, and BA, but it's more helpful for QA and BA or for folks who do not have access to the setup or the object manager or dev console for that matter, right? And they'll have to test things corely on the UI. This is specifically for those people. Developers can use this for some other scenarios, maybe, but yes, majorly for QA and BA and folks who do not have access to Dev Console or Object Manager. So this is the problem statement, right? Now, yes, one thing is that I click here, I scroll through one value one by one, and then I compare it with the Excel. But what if there are 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 values? I have seen some scenarios wherein there are 80 values configured. So just imagine the kind of boring effort you have to go through in order to validate and compare each and everything, right? So makes more sense that there's a much smarter way to handle it. So we have understood the scenario, we have understood the problem statement. I've written down the scenario and the problem statement in pointers here. As always, I will be sharing this document with you in the video description. I'll be sharing the query, this particular sheet which you can use for your project or everything in the video. So you need not worry about anything. Everything will be in your hands. But yes, and of course, if you want to revise and if you want to see the problem statement again, you can refer to this one. So this is the scenario and the problem statement. Now the very easy way is the answer is Workbench. What is Workbench? It is a friend for you if you do not have access to Dev Console or, for that matter, Object Manager, or if you cannot go to the backend of Salesforce org, right? So you go to Workbench if you have been working as a QA or a BA for a while, and of course, if you're a developer, you already know it. You understand what is the criticality for Workbench, right? Now you go to Workbench. How do you do it? You simply Google Workbench keyword, and you'll be able to access this particular link. If you want, I can share this link in the Google Doc as well. I'll do that. Now, depending upon the instance that you are in, you have to select the environment, which is production or sandbox. Since I'm in the dev org and dev org is treated as a production, I'll select production. But if you had you been your QA sandbox or staging sandbox, then you select sandbox and then log in accordingly, right? Now, since I'm in production, I'm going to select this and then I'll have to agree to the terms and click on login with Salesforce. It will automatically log in because I'm already logged into Salesforce. A note to you, always make sure that you're already logged into your org and then go to Workbench because that is going to simplify things for you. You will be automatically logged into it, right? And let's suppose, as a note to you, let's suppose if you are using a sandbox, not a prod, then you click here, then a step varies, one step varies, that also I'll show you. See, here it will ask you to enter the credentials. Now, let's suppose if you're already logged into your org, then what you need to do, you need to select or click on use custom domain. And from here in, you need to just copy this particular URL that is from, I mean, the org name. This is the dev one uptill.com. And you need to paste it here and then continue. See, this URL is automatically created. You click on continue and you will be navigating Workbench instance of that particular org, right? But since I am in prod right now, I'm not going to do this. But yes, for you, I think this will be helpful. Now, going back to the prod instance, I'll click on production, select the version true and log in with Salesforce. Perfect. I'm here now. Now there is a tab which is queries. I click on queries and then I go to SQL query, right? Now herein all the game starts. Let's go and have a look at the step-by-step solution to it. So first of all, log in with the Salesforce org. We already did that. Use custom domain and provide the org URL. I did show you what you have to do in case of prod and in case of sandbox. Select the SQL query section. This is all done. Now it says select the option for view as to bulk CSV. What does this mean? Let's go and see on the UI. There's this option bulk CSV. What this means that when you're going to run the query and there are going to be numerous records, right? So you want the result to be produced or to be presented in an Excel or in a CSV format, my bad, in a CSV format. So you can download it and then view it later on, right? So we'll select bulk CSV and now we are going to give a query, right? And the query is something going to be like this. Just give me a second. because I've already noted it down. So the query is going to be select label from pick list value info. Of course, I don't remember the query, so I'm referencing it from somewhere. But yes, again, I'll mention that this query is already mentioned in the document. Then entity particle dot entity definition dot qualified API name is equals to, this has to be the object name. Don't worry, we'll discuss this. And entity particle dot developer name. Just a second. Entity particle dot developer name is equals to field name and is active is equals to true order by label. Now, I know that if you are a quality engineer or a business analyst, you might not be able to understand this query completely, which is fine. Trust me, which is fine. You just need to copy this query into wherever you require and just make two changes. That is number one, object name. So on which object are you trying to access the field? Herein we have it as account. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to find the, and FYI, if you don't have access to the object manager, then there is a process or there's a plugin which is Salesforce Inspector. You can use it. But for now, I'm accessing it by the way. And or you can get the names or the values from your developers or from your technical team as well. But yes, for now, this is the account and I want to use the name, right? So name here is account. So let me go and given the value as account here, right? And then entity particle dot developer name equals to field name. So field name is industry, if you see here, right? Now, one catch is because I made this mistake, so I want you to not make this. You go to the field and you will realize one thing, that there are different parameters of this field, as in there is name, there is API name, right? So you have to select and you have to only use the name value of it. Okay. You do not use the API name. The API name, if it's a custom field, it could be underscore underscore C. So do not use it, only use the name. The name as in whatever is given on the screen. Cool. So here in the name is industry. So I'm going to write it as industry. And now there's the third filter, which is active equals to true. This means that I think you're already aware about this concept that in Salesforce in Picklist, there are two things. One is that you can mark some field values to be inactive that you do not want, right? So of course, we only want to fetch the values which are active, which are visible on the UI. So the active values will only be visible on the UI, right? So you mark it as is active equals to true, and then you order by label. It's as simple as that. Now we'll run and then see it. Wait. Cool. So we did run this query. This query worked, and now I got 32 records out of it, and I can download it. So let me go and download this particular one. Yes, we have it now here. I'm going to again open it in my Excel and then we'll compare it. So just give me a second. I'll just upload it and present to you the data to you. Okay, so this is the result that I could see here. I have downloaded it and now I have these values here. Now what I'm going to do, I am going to copy this entire thing and paste it under the actual values. I have the actual values now, right? Now you have these values similar to each other. I mean, the expected and actual values in front of you. No need to worry about UI and test out things manually one by one. You have it everything in front of you. Now, again, you would say that, you know what, am I going to again go and manually check between column A and column B? No, you're not going to do that because if that was the plan, we could have validated it using Salesforce as well, right? The simple answer is that there is a formula in Excel which is equals to A2 equals to B2, right? A2, that is this one, this cell, and B2 is this cell. So basically, you are comparing between expected and actual value. You do this, press enter, gives true, right? And now I'm simply going to go and scroll or basically just drag it up to the end, right? Now, do you see that there are some cells which have the value false? You search for the word false here, and you will see that there are two cells which says false. So there is a discrepancy. Wherever it's true, there is no discrepancy. Wherever there is false, there is a discrepancy. If you have a lot of data, if you want to optimize it more, there is a conditional formatting feature in Excel as well, whereas everything which is marked false will be marked red or the color you choose. But I don't want to complicate it to that level. Just go and search for the word false. You see two results. It will be highlighted here. So let's make a comparison. Expected is chemical. Actual values is chemicals. Expected is finance. And I'm sorry, expected is entertainments and the actual value is entertainment, right? So there's a discrepancy. So had this been a real project, you have it now. You just have to run the query, populate the values accordingly, find the discrepancy. This entire thing won't take more than 10 minutes. Trust me on this because I've done it. And had you been doing this in the standard manual way, it would have taken more than 20, 25 minutes. So if not 100%, you at least say 50, 60% of the time even in smaller scenarios, or even in scenarios wherein the picklist values, the picklist field has lesser number of values, right? So I hope that this particular solution to this problem statement is helpful to you. Again, I'll be sharing this document, the query, the sheet, everything with you in the video description, so you need not worry about anything. I hope that this solution helps you big time. And let me know if you want me to create a video on any of the similar problems that you're facing in day-to-day projects, because now I have started a new segment wherein I'll be thinking of day-to-day problems that I face and create videos out of this. So when you are working on your projects and if you come across such a challenge, maybe this sort of content is going to help you, right? So yeah, thank you so much for watching the video and see you in the next one. Bye bye.